The vault opens. Welcome back. I am the archivist. Every week I open a file that was never meant to be found. Tonight, we open another one. The file reads, Cults Classified. A cult is not just a group with strange beliefs. A cult is a group that isolates its members, controls their information, manipulates their reality, and convinces them to do things they would never do alone. America has seen many cults throughout its history, but some were darker than others. Tonight, the archivist opens files on 5 of the most terrifying cults in American history, not because of their beliefs, but because of what they did. These are documented cases, real events, and in every case, the warning signs were ignored until it was too late. Cult 1. The People's Temple, Jim Jones, 1978, Jonestown Massacre. Jim Jones founded the People's Temple in the 1950s. At first, it appeared to be a progressive religious organization, integrated, politically active, advocating for social justice. Jim Jones was charismatic. He attracted followers who believed they were building a better world. But behind closed doors, Jones was consolidating total control. He demanded absolute loyalty. He separated families. He controlled where members lived and worked. He read their mail. He listened to their phone calls. Anyone who questioned him was punished. By the mid-1970s, Jones had moved his entire congregation to a remote compound in the jungle of Guyana. He called it Jonestown, a utopia, a socialist paradise. But it was a prison. Members worked grueling hours in the heat. Food was scarce. Jones controlled everything. He ran loudspeaker announcements day and night, preaching, threatening, watching. Then, in 1978, a U.S. congressman named Leo Ryan flew to Guyana to investigate reports of abuse. Jim Jones allowed him to visit Jonestown, but when Ryan tried to leave with members who wanted to escape, Jones ordered his armed guards to open fire. Congressman Ryan and 4 others were killed on the airstrip. Hours later, Jim Jones gathered the entire community, over 900 people, including more than 300 children. He told them it was time. He called it revolutionary suicide. Guards brought out vats of cyanide-laced punch. Parents were ordered to give it to their children first, then drink it themselves. Those who refused were forced, shot, injected. 918 people died that day. The largest mass murder-suicide in modern history. The archivist notes, the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid comes from this event, but it was not Kool-Aid. It was Flavor Aid. And it was not suicide. It was mass murder. Cult 2, Heaven's Gate, Marshall Applewhite, 1997. Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles founded Heaven's Gate in the 1970s. They convinced followers that Earth was about to be recycled, wiped clean. And the only way to survive was to leave your human body and ascend to a spacecraft following the Hale-Bopp comet. Members lived together in total isolation. They gave up their families, their possessions, their identities. They dressed identically, spoke identically. 8 male members even underwent voluntary castration to remove human desires. Applewhite taught them that their bodies were just vessels, temporary containers, and the spacecraft was coming to collect their souls. In March 1997, as the Hale-Bopp comet passed near Earth, Applewhite told his followers it was time to leave. 39 members put on identical black uniforms and Nike sneakers. They ate applesauce laced with phenobarbital and vodka, then placed plastic bags over their heads. They died in shifts, each group helping the previous group, cleaning up, covering the bodies with purple shrouds, then lying down themselves. Police found them days later, all 39 dead, arranged in bunk beds, faces covered, packed bags beside them, as if preparing for a journey. The archivist notes, several members had recorded goodbye videos. They were smiling, excited, convinced they were going home. They died believing they were being rescued. Cult 3. The Branch Davidians, David Koresh, 1993. Waco Siege. David Koresh took control of the Branch Davidians in the late 1980s. He claimed to be the final prophet, the Lamb of God. He convinced followers that the apocalypse was coming, and only those loyal to him would survive. Koresh controlled every aspect of life inside the Mount Carmel compound near Waco, Texas. He claimed the right to marry any woman in the group, including underage girls. He fathered dozens of children with different women. He separated husbands from wives. He stockpiled weapons. He taught that the government was evil, that they would come to destroy the faithful. In 1993, federal agents raided the compound to serve search and arrest warrants. A gunfight erupted. 4 agents were killed. 6 Branch Davidians died. A 51-day standoff began. The FBI surrounded the compound. Koresh refused to surrender. He preached to his followers that this was the prophesied final battle, that God was testing them. Negotiations failed. The FBI used tear gas, played loud music, cut off power, but Koresh would not leave. On April 19th, the FBI launched a final assault using armored vehicles to inject tear gas into the compound. A fire started. The compound burned. 76 people died inside, including more than 20 children, and David Koresh. To this day, there is debate about who started the fire. The FBI says the Branch Davidians set it themselves. Survivors say the government caused it. The archivist notes, regardless of who lit the match, those people were trapped long before the fire started. They were trapped by belief. Cult 4. The Manson Family. Charles Manson, 1969. Tate LaBianca murders. Charles Manson was a career criminal, in and out of prison most of his life. In the late 1960s, he gathered a group of young followers in California, mostly women. He preached about an apocalyptic race war he called Helter Skelter. He claimed the war was coming, and he would lead his family to safety in the desert. Manson used drugs, sleep deprivation, and psychological manipulation to control his followers. He convinced them that he could read their thoughts, that he was Jesus Christ, that killing was not wrong if he ordered it. In August 1969, Manson sent his followers to commit murders that would, in his mind, trigger the race war. They broke into the home of actress Sharon Tate, who was 8 months pregnant. They murdered her and 4 others, stabbing them repeatedly, writing messages on the walls in blood. The next night, they murdered Leno and Rosemary LaBianca in their home. Same brutality, same blood messages. Manson never killed anyone himself. He convinced others to do it. He was eventually arrested and convicted. He spent the rest of his life in prison. He died in 2017. The archivist notes, Manson had no political ideology, no real religious belief. He simply wanted chaos, and he found people desperate enough to give it to him. Cult 5, NXIVM, Keith Raniere, 2018. The modern cult, NXIVM, presented itself as a self-help organization, executive coaching, personal development. It attracted successful people, actors, heiresses, professionals. Keith Raniere called himself Vanguard. He taught courses on empowerment and ethics, but inside the organization something darker was happening. Women were recruited into a secret society within NXIVM called DOS. They were told it was a women's empowerment group, but it was not. They were required to provide collateral, naked photos, confessions, secrets, anything that could be used to blackmail them. They were branded with Ranier's initials, burned into their skin with a cauterizing pen. While other members held them down, they were ordered to seduce Ranier, to follow his commands, to recruit other women. If they refused, their collateral would be released, their lives destroyed. One woman escaped and went to the authorities. The FBI investigated. In 2018, Keith Raniere was arrested. He was convicted of sex trafficking, forced labor, racketeering. He is currently serving 120 years in prison. The archivist notes NXIVM operated openly for over 20 years in major cities with celebrity members. No one stopped it because it looked legitimate. It had offices, websites, promotional materials. It hid in plain sight. And that is perhaps the most terrifying part. Before the archivist closes this file, one final entry. These 5 cults span 50 years, from the 1960s to 2018, different leaders, different methods, different beliefs. But they all shared the same core techniques: isolation, control, manipulation, and the promise that the leader had the answer, the truth, the way out. People joined these groups looking for meaning, for community, for purpose, and they found predators. The archivist leaves you with this question: if cults can hide in plain sight for decades, how do you know you are not already in one? The warning signs are always the same. The leader is always right. Questioning is forbidden. Leaving is punished. Your family is the enemy. Think about the groups you are part of, the beliefs you follow, the leaders you trust, and ask yourself, am I allowed to leave? The file is closing, but before it does, the archivist asks you to think about that. The vault closes for now. If you are new here, subscribe. Every file we open is one they never wanted you to read. I will see you in the next vault.